You're checking out One Dish, One Mic. Today, we have very special guests joining us. We have Destini Ramphal and Maryam Nazari. They are student ambassadors of gender studies, and they're allies. We'll get this out of the way right off the top of the interview. We need allies to help us do this work. I really love that Murray Sinclair quote where he says, "We're not going to change everybody's minds, but we have a responsibility to arm the reasonable." I think we have two reasonable people that are here supporting our good work. I'm going to ask you first, Destini. We need to talk about water justice. We need to talk about Indigenous lands. We need to talk about so many pressing issues. I wonder if we can start this conversation off in a good way on a high level. What do you think about these topics and what these conversations need to look like?
Well, first of all, I think these topics are extremely important. I think that the fact that there are Indigenous reserves that still under boiling water advisories, I think that that is insane. It's 2026, and I find it insane that there are not running water in these reserves, that it's not getting taken seriously. Recently, actually, Maryam and we had a project on water sovereignty for one of our classes, and I honestly was expecting to see some change. Honestly, I really, really was. I was expecting to see, okay, maybe there's like a new bill that's being put in place. I was expecting to see, maybe some improvements for some of the reserve. Nothing. We got nothing. Um, Basically, I just want to say that Indigenous people, they have a very special connection to water, to the land. I mean, that's something that we've learned in our classes. And I feel that the fact that a lot of reserves are under boil water advisories, it's extremely disrespectful. It's extremely ridiculous. And these are people's lives that you're playing with because we need to have clean drinking water. It's a fundamental human right, and yet so many Indigenous reserves do not have this. So I just find that crazy.
Miriam, I definitely think that sometimes people take water for granted, and that in the city of St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, all the areas that are around us. Imagine if we had some of the water crises that are just part of the everyday reality, to the degree where we have people from Saskatchewan that have been effectively relocated for an indefinite period of time from their home, their lifestyle, their schools, their way of doing things to this community. And I don't know that people really appreciate how important it is to have water. And I don't know that many of our listeners can actually appreciate water scarcity. But that I really do think that we need to be a lot more aware and do a much better job making sure that people have access to this. I wonder what your thoughts are on this topic, Miriam.
As you said, that people are taking water for granted, and that's such a thing that I always say for people, especially as a newcomer here, because my back home we have lack of water. We do lack of water to the point that we have to buy bottles of water from outside for a significant amount of money. That it's a lot. And then people who are here around the areas that they have access to the clean water, and they're taking for granted, they're using it to the point that it's unnecessary at some point. And therefore, I would just say to these people, don't take it for granted. Think about the people on the reserve, what they're going through. They might have water, but it's not clean water. It's not drinkable. It's just mud water. It's water that could cause you so much illness and death at some point. And you don't want that. You don't want to wish to on anybody so far. And therefore, I would say that this topic, it's really important to be going through, not as an individual only, but anyone. So your family, talk about this. Appreciate what you have, and also wake up and get this topic out in public. You cannot just ignore it and sleep all over this topic and think that, okay, I have access to the clean water and I don't care whoever doesn't. And if this comes to you one day, and I'm sure it will if you don't wake up, because if the real people are going through, you're going to go through it as well one day.
I mean, it's already happened. Case in point with Walkerton. I mean, and you are students, so this might be before your time. But back in the early '90s, mid '90s, there's this case where Walkerton had a leakage or an infection, and there's a lot of mismanagement that happened, and within a month, within the period of 2 months over the summer period, people found the root cause of the issue. People were arrested, people went to jail, so on and so forth. And we find that when we apply those same standards, or if we apply that same formula that exists within the Western culture, those aren't being applicable, or those aren't being applied to issues that affect Indigenous people. And Destiny, when you say we're screaming and they're not hearing us, like, honestly, that hits, because that's how I feel sometimes when we do this show, is that we're talking about these issues and nobody seems to care.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a lighter topic than we would just talk about missing and murdered Indigenous women. Now we're talking about bottled water. But yeah, it hit me. So I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I'll let you guys go off now.
Yeah, actually, this just popped in my head, but I remember this has to be years ago, because this, when Justin Trudeau was prime minister, but I have this distinct memory of when I was watching the news and they were bringing up this topic, and it was one of an activist who was explaining to Justin Trudeau about the bottled water advisories, about Indigenous people not having water reserves, and I remember him shedding some crocodile tears and saying that they were gonna fix this, that they were gonna do something. 2026 now, nothing has been done, but I remember that distinctively. It's just something that popped in my head.
It's funny too. So one of my talking points is that Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government is the first government to have a roadmap to reconciliation. What does reconciliation looks like? It looks like what the national calls to the Truth and Reconciliation Report state. And one of those calls are boil water advisories that exist on reserve. And the government just has done absolutely nothing. So much so that my community, so I'm from Curve Lake First Nation. We talk about Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau likes to often, or would like to often reference the Tragically Hip, who sings a song called Bob Cajun, which is right next to my community. So that's the connection there. But we had to take them to court. We took the federal government to court, and the federal government rightfully made the decision not to follow through with this and kind of come to a settlement. But we still see that there's no meaningful change happening. That if you go down the road 50 minutes from here, 60 minutes from here to Six Nations of the Grand River, there are parts of that reserve where you can't take a shower.
Yeah.
There are parts of that reserve where you can't drink from the water.
Yeah. And I believe there are 39 active long-term drinking water advisories for 37 communities. And I don't know how they think this is such a great idea. And even they're mentioning such a thing out in public as if they're doing a favor for these people. Like, dear, this is your job. This is their right. Give it to them. You're not doing a favor to anybody. If you're running a government, run it properly. Don't be biased. Don't be ignorant, which they are. 100% of the time, they're ignorant. And they're hypocrites. They be lying about things and claiming that we will do this, we will do that. But at the end of the day, they just forget what happened, what they talked about, which is, as Destiny said, it's extremely disrespectful to the people of Indigenous who lives on the reserves. And this all stuff started because of the treaties that they signed, and they broke so many promises. And a big one was this. You have connection to your land and water, but yeah, you will have water, but I don't know if it's going to be clean. If you can drink out of it, you might be able to see liquid coming out of your sink and tap, but I'm not sure if that would be drinkable, or if you can use that to wash your body, or even to use it for washing dishes or anything like that. So I feel like that's extremely disrespectful. Lying all the time doesn't really give you like a better look. It just gives you like a hypocrite to your face, and people will stop believing you. And mind you, the reason why.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted that beautiful thought. We have to pause.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. We're just up for the people watching on video, they're wondering what the heck's happening. But for listeners on the radio, we just are going to hear from the wonderful people that allow us to be on air. Okay, we're back. Destiny, I'm sorry I interrupted your flow before we hit the break there. You were making some really important points about treaty protected rights and water. And there have been some updates. Oneida is getting an extension of the water line that runs into some of the municipalities, but this is how many decades overdue? Like, Oneida is right next to London, Ontario, one of the most important cities in all of Canada. Again, if this happened in London, there would be an outrage. Now Oneida, through the good work of leadership in Oneida and the good work of non-Indigenous people and allies and people like yourselves that are advocating, we are finally at a point where we can look at getting this water at some point in the future. Not fast enough for the elders that are there. But Destiny, I mean, you were talking about this is I'm sorry, Miriam. You were talking about this is a treaty. This is a treaty protected right. This is something that when Canada dispossessed Indigenous people of our lands, they said, "Don't worry, we'll take care of you." And then
indeed they said that, but again, guess what? They lied. As always, they lied about we will share this land, but they took over this land. It's two different things. As someone very famous from the United States said that 500 years ago, they came on a boat, take over the land, doesn't mean the land is yours. So can we say the same thing again? And we all know whose thought is that, and there's no reason to be expanding and give them the fame right now, but we already know. But other than that, it's a fact. They already said what their heart always believed. You took over a land and you promised them we will share the land. You never shared the land. You took over the land. You took the land. You can just say that you took the Indigenous people's land, you stole the land and you built on it just because you thought that you can do better, but on someone else's land, which is 100% very unfair. I have zero respect for those kind of people. Therefore, broke the indigenous, the treaty rights to the point that people were not even able to claim their culture, claim their beliefs, claim what they have had before these people came on a boat 500 years ago. And matter of fact, they're just, to this day, they struggle. Why? Because those people came on a boat, they thought that, okay, this is my land, so what we're going to do is just slowly erase them. And they started from residential schools and all this and that, to the point that now they know that people are awake. People are not willing to allow such a genocide happen. Throughout the years, this genocide happened, and now they're trying to do it even in a worse way, which is water, taking someone's nature and all this kind of stuff away just because they think they have the rights to do it, and people are blind enough to not see the reality. So I think it's just it's very concerning to see such a government, honestly. Yeah. And also, sorry, just going off this, that when I was coming to Canada, when they were introducing what is Canada, where it is, there was not a single thought of me thinking Canada is a stolen land. The real name is not even Canada like that they say it nowadays. And they promoted Canada as a white country, as a dream country that you can go and do it. But I didn't know that they stole other people's dream who are from here, and now they're giving people false dreams.
Yeah, and just pulling just what you were saying before about people being awake, I just want to argue that I feel like people aren't awake. I'm also in political science, so I do a dual degree. So I'm in political science and women gender studies. And basically, I want to say from the 3 years I've been in university and in my political science classes, if I bring up stolen land, I will get a counter argument that says it was not stolen, this land was conquered. And I honestly can fight this, and I can say everything before my TA cuts me off. But it's just, even in an institution like Brock University, even while you're being educated, I mean, sometimes it's so hard to just change that point of view. It's so hard to get through to people when they believe something for so long. And I feel like that's a struggle that I want to say me and Maryam both have, because in our seminars, when we bring up topics like this, you'll always have someone pushing back. And sometimes it's just, no matter how hard you push back, it's so hard to just break through. But I still believe it's so important to keep having these conversations and to keep trying to push through, because I seriously, I want that person in seminar to just come back and say, well, what does conquer mean? Like, what does that mean? Please explain it to me. But the fact that when I do push back, they can't really explain that part to me. So that's just one thing that I was pulling out from what Maryam was saying.
It's just because that's what they have heard from their
it's
families.
So ingrained. It's so just
Yes.
in there.
It's just from their families and coming down from their
Yeah.
family educational terms coming down to us, and that's what they think.
Yeah.
Conquering usually means that you fought a war and you conquered a country like that, but not by cowardly killing their kids, cutting their water, and at the end of the day making them feel like the worst thing ever in this life and give them the lifetime trauma. So therefore they just need to be educated. English is their first language, so I don't know why they're struggling to understand some words or their meanings.
I agree with that 100%.
English is your first language, but yet you fail to read the treaties that exist.
Exactly, because a lot of people don't even know what's the treaty.
I do a lot of guest lecturing, and I had the opportunity to teach or I guess not teach, but speak in Dr. Lynn Trudeau's class. And I 100% can verify and empathize with your points of view, because these students at Brock University were bold enough to argue that same point with me. And one of the narratives that we use to counter these points is that it isn't considered conquering when you have to sign a treaty.
Mm-hmm.
If the very fact that treaty exists means that no conquering happened. And the other thing is, from a historical point of view, from a historical standpoint, there was no wars that were ever fought between our nations. The Mississaugas, the Haudenosaunee never fought against the British for them to win. And the last point is, the Supreme Court of Canada, when given the opportunity to make a legal decision to set precedents, has always sided with Indigenous people. Ironically, too, like to say that the justice system is on Indigenous people's side is an oxymoron that I've yet to come to terms with. But the case in point was in BC, where the Supreme Court just acknowledged that BC is unceded land. Unceded means that we didn't give it up. If we didn't give it up, we were therefore not conquered.
We're down to our last couple of minutes, and so we do something on the show called a traveling thought. I'm going to ask each of you to give us about a minute. Maryam, I'll ask you first, and then Destini, and then we're going to have you back. This has been great, and I feel like we just got started. But Maryam, what's your traveling thought for our listeners?
I would say seek education. It's really important. As education, as you guys think, as a Canadian mindset that people do have, mental health is important. I can assure you education is much more important than that, because if you do have education, you would not be in that situation that you are right today. Therefore, you have to educate yourself about anything that you can, especially the original Canadian people, which they are struggling for very, very long years, and we know who are the reason for that. So therefore, these are my traveling thoughts. I want to tell people, go over them, learn them. And if you have a question, come back to me. I can assure you, I can teach you much better and simpler words and not sugarcoating anything to you, because I don't want you to be feeling like she's going to sugar. I'm not. I'm a very straightforward person. I think, and I'm sure that you can learn a lot.
No sugarcoating. All right, Destiny, what are you thinking?
I mean, mine's going to be very brief, and I feel like this is really important, but listen. We're having these conversations. I feel like listeners, just listen to what we're saying. When you're educating yourself and you're reading something, really just take that in, because that's how you learn. Just listen. That's my traveling thought. Listen and learn.
and action on it.
Yes.
It sounds easy. You would think we could.
Yeah.
Well, if people want to, if they want, they would. It's just about their actions. It's just about having morals in general.
Maryam, Destiny, come back anytime. Let's have you back in the studio ASAP. Sean Van Love your face. You're good people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for checking out One Dish, One Mic. We will be back ASAP. Don't forget to follow us on our socials. We have a YouTube channel. Now, some of you may be watching this on the YouTube channel. I'm saying YouTube like a very old man because, well, facts matter. Thank you very much for listening. Nagit with Swagwag.
Love you guys.
Thank you.